The silent forest cries. The wind moved through the dead trees like a whisper. Nothing lived here anymore. The sky was gray, and the ground was dry and cracked. Ashes covered everything. It was a place where the strong once ruled. But now, only silence remained. She walked slowly, limping. Her fur was matted and blood stained her side. She was the last female of her kind, and she carried the last hope of her dying species. Two small cubs, weak and sick, curled against her chest. The predator queen, once feared across the stars, was now just a mother trying to keep her babies alive. She hid in the shadows, always listening. Drones flew overhead sometimes. Other hunters searched these lands, hoping to find something valuable. Bones, fur, or worse, the last of her kind. But she would not let them take her cubs. She found a cave and lay down, her body wrapped around. Her children. They breathed, but their eyes were closed. Their strength was fading fast. She looked at them, pain in her golden eyes. They were too small, too cold. They needed help. But who could help them now? Suddenly, the wind changed. She smelled something strange. Not machine. Not alien. Something clean. Something warm. She raised her head and growled softly. A light flickered in the sky. A ship. Small, round, human design. It landed nearby, kicking up dust. She crouched, ready to fight. The ship door opened with a hiss. A human stepped out. Tall, calm, wearing dark clothes with a long coat. He had no weapons in his hands, just a scanner device and a medical bag. The predator queen watched, silent, her claws digging into the dirt. He looked around, then knelt beside a broken tree. He touched the ground, scanned it, and whispered, "Still warm." She moved quickly, silent as death. She jumped on a rock above him and let out a warning growl. Her body shook, but she stood tall. The man didn't flinch. He slowly turned, his head, and saw her glowing eyes. "You're still alive," he said softly. Thank God. She didn't understand his words, but she saw his eyes. No fear, no hate, only sadness and hope. He took one step forward. She snarled louder. "I'm not here to harm you," he said. "I came because someone has to help." He reached into his bag and pulled out a heat pack. He placed it on the ground, then stepped back. Her eyes narrowed. The cubs shivered behind her. She looked down at them, then back at the human. Slowly, very slowly, she moved forward and sniffed the pack. It was warm. She didn't trust him, but she had no choice. He spoke again, this time pressing a button on his wrist. A hologram of the cub's species appeared. Old data, files, notes. He turned it toward her. "I know what you are," he said. "They told me your kind was gone. They lied." She listened, confused but curious. He pointed at the cubs and then his bag. He opened it slightly, showing a vial of medicine. "Let me help them," he whispered. She didn't move. He stepped closer and knelt down. "My name is Elias Rowan. I used to be a geneticist on Earth. They banned me because I didn't follow the rules." He smiled a little, tired. "I don't follow rules when it means life dies." He scanned the cubs from a distance. Their vitals were low. Very low. "They don't have much time," he said softly. She didn't growl this time. Her eyes met his. A silent agreement passed between them. He came closer and knelt beside the smallest cub. His hands were gentle. He gave them an injection, then placed warm blankets around them. The predator queen did not attack. She watched and waited. Minutes passed. The cubs began to breathe easier. One of them even made a soft sound. A tiny whimper. Elias smiled. "Good. Very good." He looked up at her. "They're strong. They just need time, and someone to believe they matter." For the first time in weeks, the predator queen didn't feel alone. But far above them in the sky, a drone moved quietly, watching. It sent a signal. Target located. Last of apex species. Alive. Begin tracking. Below, the cubs slept. The mother watched. The human stayed by their side. None of them knew what was coming. The human with the forbidden past. The stars above were quiet, but something had changed on the ground. Inside the small cave, the predator queen rested beside her cubs. Their breathing had grown stronger. One of them twitched its paw in sleep, as if dreaming for the first time in days. She didn't sleep. She watched the human. He had stayed. Elias. Rowan sat near the fire he had built, not too close, not too far. He didn't talk much. He just watched the vitals on his scanner, checked the medicine, and made notes on a thin digital pad. His fingers moved fast, like a man used to hiding thoughts. The queen could feel it. He wasn't a soldier, not a hunter, but something about him felt just as dangerous, and still she didn't chase him away. He had done what no one else dared. He had touched her dying cubs and helped them breathe again. When morning came, a cold wind swept through the trees. Frost glistened on broken branches. The cubs whimpered, and Elias wrapped one of his thermal blankets around them. She growled low. He didn't move. "They'll be okay," he said gently, "if we act fast." She didn't understand his words, but she saw his face. He looked tired, but not weak. She tilted her head. "You're wondering why I'm here," Elias said. "Everyone wonders that." He pulled out a small black chip from his coat pocket and stared at it. "This little thing," he said quietly, "cost me everything." He held it out toward her, though he knew she didn't know what it was. "A long time ago, I found something," he continued. "A genetic map hidden in an old Earth database. It was buried deep. Code from a species long extinct. Wolves, but not normal wolves. Giants, smarter, faster. Something ancient. Something like your kind." The queen's ears perked up slightly. "I used it to make something new," he said. "On Earth, they called it a mistake, an abomination. I called it hope." He leaned back, looking at the cold cave ceiling. The government didn't like that. They banned my work, burned my lab, called me dangerous. His voice turned bitter. But they couldn't erase everything. I took what I could. Went off-world. Tried to find places where old DNA still lived. He looked at her again. And then, I heard rumors. Whispers of a dying world. A predator species with golden eyes and ancient blood. His eyes narrowed. "They said your kind was gone." His voice dropped low, but they were wrong. He glanced at his scanner. It blinked red. The cubs were still weak. They needed more than medicine. They needed what only he could make. Synthetic antibodies and stem cell treatments made from matching DNA strands. But he didn't have enough samples. He needed more of their code. And fast. He stood up. "I have to go into the ruins," he said. "There's an old research station 2 kilometers east. If the power cores still work, I can build what they need." He packed his bag, checked his pulse gun, and turned to the queen. She blocked the cave entrance. Her eyes burned into his. She didn't growl. She didn't strike. She just stood there, silent. Firm. "You don't trust me?" he said. She lowered her head, then looked at her cubs. "But you don't want them to die." He took a slow step forward. "Let me save them. I came here for them." She looked at him for a long moment, then stepped aside. Without a word, she followed. The forest outside was thick with fog. Twisted roots and shattered stone covered them, and like scars. Birds no longer sang. Insects no longer buzzed. Only the wind moved. And something else. They walked in silence for an hour. Then Elias stopped. "Do you hear that?" A soft hum almost hidden in the air. "The station." He pointed to a crumbling hill in the distance. "We're close." As they approached, strange marks began to appear on the rocks. Scratches, burn lines, dried blood. The queen tensed. Her eyes scanned the trees. Elias pulled out a motion tracker. "Something's watching us." Just then, snap, a branch cracked to the left. Elias raised his gun. The queen crouched low, teeth bared. From the trees came nothing, only a thick, cold silence. "It's gone," he whispered. "But it saw us." They reached the old station. The door was buried under rubble, but Elias found a side hatch. It creaked open with a hiss of gas. Inside, dust floated in the stale air. The walls were cracked. Vines crawled along the broken consoles, but the generator still blinked green. "Thank God," Elias said. He ran to the console and connected his chip. Data flashed across the screen. He pulled vials from his pack, placed one in a scanner, and began mixing compounds. The queen waited near the door, her ears flicking. Suddenly, the motion sensor lit up red. Elias froze. Something followed us. A growl echoed through the station halls. Low, deep, not hers. Elias stepped back. The queen moved in front of him. From the shadows, eyes appeared. Golden. Larger than hers. Another predator. But this one didn't protect cubs. This one came to kill. The DNA that shouldn't exist. The silence before the attack was sharp. Elias stood frozen. The predator queen was in front of him, her muscles tight, ready to fight. From the shadows inside the ruined research station, something moved. Its shape was huge. Its breath was slow and heavy. Two glowing eyes stared back at them through the dust and flickering lights. It stepped forward. It looked like her, but bigger, older, thicker fur, deep scars along its side, and a long, cracked horn above. Its eye. This one had survived the extinction, and it wasn't happy. Elias whispered, "Is that one of yours?" The queen didn't answer. Her body lowered, claws out, tail lashing. The creature let out a long growl. It wasn't a greeting. It was a warning. Elias raised his pulse gun. "We need to leave. Now." But before they could move, the beast lunged. The queen met it mid-air. They crashed into old metal, smashing consoles and spraying sparks across the room. Elias ducked behind a broken table and watched in shock. They fought like lightning and thunder, fur, claws, teeth, roars. The queen was faster, younger. But the older predator was brutal and wild. Elias searched the lab. He didn't want to leave her, but he had only seconds. The vials. The samples. He grabbed the scanner and shoved 2 glowing capsules into his bag to scream. He turned. The queen had been thrown against the wall. She hit the ground hard and didn't move. The older predator growled and stepped toward her. Elias didn't think. He pulled his gun and fired. Blue light hit the beast's side. It roared in pain and turned to him. Elias fired again. Missed. The creature charged. He ran for the door, heart pounding. The queen opened one eye and saw him, bleeding, limping, but alive. She stood again. Her body was broken, but her fire wasn't. She leapt onto the beast's back as it chased Elias. Her claws sank deep into its shoulders. It screamed and spun, crashing into walls. Elias reached the exit and yelled, "This way!" The queen threw herself off the beast and ran to him. Together they escaped through the side hatch, just as the station shook with collapsing walls. Outside the air was cold. They didn't stop running until the trees swallowed them again. Finally they collapsed behind a fallen tree. Blood dripped from both of them. The queen groaned softly. One of her legs wouldn't move right. Elias sat beside her, gasping. "You saved my life," he said. She didn't respond, but her eyes said enough. They rested in silence. An hour passed. Then Elias pulled out the scanner. He inserted one of the files, the sample he had risked everything to get. The screen blinked, processing, then it stopped. DNA match, 98.6%. Ancient Earth dire wolf Genomelius stared. "This isn't possible," he whispered. He ran the scan again. The results didn't change. "Your kind was made from Earth DNA." The queen tilted her head, watching him closely. "You were designed," Elias said slowly. "Someone took the old wolves, made them stronger, made them smarter, and placed them here." He opened the second vial. Blood from the older predator. Scanning. The result was different. Mutation detected. Unstable genome. Ancient virus present. Elias leaned back. No wonder it survived. It evolved. It became something else. His eyes widened. And when it bit me, he pulled back his sleeve. The bite on his arm was turning black. It pulsed softly under the skin. This virus is alive. He had seen viruses like this before. Bioengineered to pass on traits. It didn't kill. It rewrote. It's rewriting my DNA. He stood slowly. His hand shook. If he didn't stop it, he could lose himself. But if he understood it, he might use it. He looked at the queen and her cubs still resting back in the cave nearby. This virus might be the key to saving them, he said. But it might also kill me. He had a choice to make. Run back to his ship. Leave this world. Report what he found. Or stay. Take the risk. Fight the infection. And maybe bring back an entire species from the edge of death. He touched the queen's shoulder. I need your help now, he said softly. Not just to save them, but to save me too. She didn't understand his words, but she saw the change in him, saw the fear, the fire, and something deeper. A connection. Their blood wasn't the same, but something inside them was. Something that remembered what it meant to fight extinction. Together they would walk into the dark, but not alone. The forbidden jungle. The sky above was gray, but the land ahead was darker still. Elias stood at the edge of the jungle, staring into a wall of twisted trees and thick green mist. Every step forward felt like walking into a storm that never ended. Roots curled like claws across the dirt. Vines hung low, dripping with black dew. Nothing made a sound. Not a bird, not a bug, not even the wind. Beside him, the predator queen sniffed the air. Her fur bristled. She didn't like this place. Behind them, the cave where her cubs rested felt like a different world. But they couldn't stay there. The medicine was working, but not enough. The cubs still shook in their sleep. They needed the cure Elias had discovered. A rare flower that grew only in the heart of the jungle. The humans called it silver ghost. Alien tribes called it death's breath. It could heal or kill. It depended on how it was harvested. We have to go, Elias said. The queen didn't move. He turned to her. I know it's dangerous, but if we wait too long, they won't make it. She looked at the jungle again, then at her cubs in the distance. Her eyes narrowed. She stepped forward. They entered together. The air changed immediately. It was heavy, wet and strange. Colors shifted on the leaves, red to green, green to gold. The ground sank slightly under their feet, soft and spongy. It felt alive. Elias checked his scanner. There, he pointed, 1/2 mile in. They followed a narrow path that twisted between thick roots and glowing mushrooms. The deeper they went, the more wrong everything felt. He could feel it. They were being watched, not by machines, not by beasts, something else. The scanner began to beep, a warning signal. Movement, he whispered. 8 meters, behind us. They turned. Nothing was there. Then, crack. A branch snapped above. The queen leapt forward and pulled Elias down just as a large black creature dove from the trees. It slammed into the ground where they'd stood, claws digging into the soil. Elias rolled and pulled his weapon. He fired. Blue energy hit the thing's side. It screamed and vanished into the jungle. Camouflage, Elias breathed. It's hunting us. They ran, through mud, fog, and roots that tried to trip them. Another scream, this time closer. They didn't stop. Finally, they reached a clearing where silver petals shimmered in the dark. The ghost flower. There, Elias said, rushing forward. The queen stopped him with a growl. She pointed her nose at the flowers, then circled around slowly, watching the ground. Elias paused, and then he saw it. A ring of bones around the flowers, clean. White. Human. Trap plants, he whispered. They kill anything that touches them wrong. He opened his bag and pulled out a small container. He adjusted the temperature, set the filter, and extended a tool arm. Slowly, carefully, he harvested just one flower. The petals shimmered but did not react. He breathed out. "We did it." Suddenly, the queen growled again, louder this time. Behind them, a figure stepped into the light. It was human, but not like Elias. This man wore a black suit with red stripes. A logo of Earth's Science Guild burned on his shoulder. A drone floated beside him, its lens locked on Elias. "Dr. Elias Rowan," the man said coldly. "You are under arrest for genetic crimes against the Sovereign Code." Elias froze. "You followed me here?" he said. The agent nodded. "You left a trail. And now we have proof you're tampering with illegal species." He looked at the queen with disgust. "You're aiding a weapon," the queen snarled. "She's not a weapon," Elias said. "She's a mother." The agent raised a shock rifle. "Doesn't matter. The order is clear. Destroy the species. Bring you in." Elias stepped in front of the queen. "You'll have to shoot me," the agent smiled. "Gladly." He fired. But before the bolt could hit Elias, something roared from the trees. Not the queen. Something bigger. The mutated predator from the lab. It slammed into the agent, sending him flying across the clearing. The drone beeped wildly before being torn apart by claws. Elias pulled the queen and ran. They didn't look back. They didn't stop until they reached the edge of the jungle again. Both were bleeding, exhausted, shaking. But in Elias's hand, the flower still glowed. "We did it," he whispered. "We have the cure." The queen looked at him, not just with trust, but with something deeper, respect. They returned to the cave. The cubs were still breathing, but weaker. Elias worked fast. He mixed the compound using the flower's extract, a drop of his own altered blood, and the base medicine. He gave the injection to both cubs. Then they waited. An hour passed. Then one of the cubs opened its eyes. Bright, golden, strong. The second followed, letting out a small growl. They were going to live. But Elias knew. This was only the beginning. He looked at his hands. His skin was changing. The virus was winning. And something inside him was waking up. The predator's return. The cubs were alive. They breathed strong now, no longer gasping. Their eyes were clear. Their small bodies twitched with energy as they tried to rise. Their mother stayed close, licking their fur gently. Her tail moved, slowly from side to side, calm for the first time in days. Elias watched from the far corner of the cave. His hands trembled, not from fear, from something deeper, something crawling under his skin. His left arm was burning. Black veins now reached from the bite wound to his shoulder. The scanner on his wrist blinked red. Unstable mutations. Rapid growth. Unknown DNA activation. His heart beat faster than it should. His eyes stung under bright light. His hearing had changed too. He could now hear every breath, every small sound the cubs made, even the heartbeat of the mother. Something inside him was changing. He stood and walked outside, needing air. The sky above was heavy with dark clouds. Thunder rolled in the distance, low and steady. The jungle beyond was silent, but not safe. He could feel it in his bones. Something was coming. He sat on a rock and stared at the scanner. The virus wasn't killing him. It was blending with him. A message blinked on the screen. Genetic link detected. Apex variant unlocked. Elias narrowed his eyes. "What does that mean?" he whispered. A sudden noise stopped his thoughts. The queen rushed outside, growling. Behind her, the cubs stayed in the shadows, alert and silent. Elias stood quickly. "What is it?" he asked. The queen didn't answer, but she didn't have to. The trees ahead moved, slow, steady, and wide. Too wide for wind. Then the ground shook. Roar split the air, deep, powerful, angry. The mutated predator had found them. Elias turned pale. How is it still alive? The queen snarled louder, stepping forward. The predator stepped into view. Its eyes glowed with wild fury. Its body was covered in cuts from the lab battle, but they had healed wrong, twisted with dark flesh and metal-like bone. Its claws were longer. Its mouth dripped with black saliva, and it had followed their scent through the jungle, not for food, for revenge. The queen stood her ground, but Elias knew she couldn't beat it alone. Not again, not this time. He looked at the scanner one more time. Warning: full mutation in 12 hours. Neural rewrite in progress. If he didn't stop it, he would lose his mind. But maybe, just maybe, he didn't have to stop it. Maybe he could use it. He turned to the queen. Let me fight beside you. She looked at him, then looked at his arm. She saw the black veins. Her ears dropped slightly. She understood what he was becoming. He stepped forward anyway. I don't know how much time I have, but I can feel its power. The predator roared again and charged. This time, Elias didn't run. He threw his bag aside, grabbed the pulse gun with one hand and pulled a vial from his coat with the other, a concentrated sample of the predator's own virus. You want a real test? He said. Then let's finish this. He injected himself. The pain was instant. He dropped to his knees as his body shook. His skin boiled under his clothes. His eyes went wide, pupils shifting. His bones cracked. The queen watched, stunned. But Elias stood up again, stronger. His eyes now glowed faint gold, like the cubs. He faced the predator and roared back. Then he charged. The battle shook the forest. Elias and the queen fought together, man and beast side by side. The predator struck first, knocking Elias into a rock. But Elias rose, grabbed its throat, and slammed it down. The queen leapt on its back, biting deep into its shoulder. The predator threw her off and turned toward Elias again. He met it, blow for blow, fists, claws, fire from the pulse gun. Blood sprayed across the trees. The jungle echoed with rage. Finally, the predator lunged for the queen, but Elias got there first. He took the hit. The predator's claws tore through his side, but Elias didn't fall. He grabbed the beast by the jaw, forced it back and shoved the last remaining virus vial into its mouth. You want power? He growled. Choke on it. The predator swallowed and screamed. Its body seized. Its limbs twisted. Something inside it burned. It collapsed, dead, silent. Elias dropped to his knees beside it. Blood poured from his wound. The queen rushed to him, sniffing, licking his face. His breathing slowed. Tell them, they're safe now, he whispered. Then everything went black. The human must choose. The world was quiet. Not dead. Just quiet. Elias floated in darkness. His body wasn't his anymore. He couldn't feel the ground. Couldn't feel pain. Couldn't even remember his own voice. Only heat. Then cold. Then something ancient pulling him deeper. And then a heartbeat. Not his. Two of them. Tiny. Fast. Scared. The cubs. Then another. Slower. Stronger. Filled with fire. The queen. Then one more. A fourth. Heartbeat. His. But it was changing. He opened his eyes. Light stung like a blade. His body was stiff. Heavy. Wrapped in something warm. He sat up slowly. He was inside the cave again. Blankets over his chest. A fire burning near the wall. And just beyond the fire, the queen, sitting silently, eyes fixed on him. And beside her, cubs now awake and full of life, chewing on small bones and play wrestling in the corner. He blinked. How long was I out? His voice sounded different, deeper, rougher. He looked at his hands. The veins were gone, replaced by golden lines under the skin, like glowing roots. His nails were longer. His vision was clearer. He could see every detail, even in the shadows, every breath, every dust particle. He was alive. But not the same. He tried to stand. Pain hit him hard, but not from wounds. From pressure inside his bones, like something stronger was waiting to be released. He gritted his teeth. The queen walked to him, sniffed his face, looked deep into his eyes. She didn't growl. She bowed her head. It was a gesture of respect, not just to a protector, but to one of her own. He dropped to one knee, trembling. What am I now? He looked at the scanner on his wrist. It was dead, fried from the overload, but he didn't need it anymore. His body told him the truth. He had merged with the predator virus, survived it, adapted to it. Not human anymore, not fully, but something new. And now, he had to choose. A sound broke the silence. A ship. Not from above, but near the mountain. A slow hum, then a sharp beep. A human signal. The Science Guild was still searching for him. He rushed to the mouth of the cave and climbed the rocks. From the top he saw it, another black transport landing near the old station ruins. 3 men in full armor stepped out, rifles in hand, drones floating at their sides. They were scanning the jungle, hunting. He knew what that meant. They're coming to finish it, he said. They'll burn everything. He turned to the queen. They'll find you, your cubs, and they'll erase you. His heart pounded. His blood wanted to run, or fight, or howl. But his mind was calm. He had knowledge. He had power. And now, he had to decide what to do with both. He stared at the humans in the valley below. He could call them, surrender, explain everything. Maybe they'd listen, maybe not, or he could protect the queen and her cubs. Disappear into the wilderness. Live as something new, something built from 2 worlds. But if he walked away, the truth would stay buried. No one would know what they were. No one would believe him. He closed his eyes. His hand touched the rock. Memory flashed. His old lab on Earth. The words written on the wall before they shut him down. Life evolves. With or without your permission. He opened his eyes. His choice was clear. He stood tall, facing the valley. His voice was quiet. I'll lead them away. The queen growled softly in protest. He shook his head. They won't stop hunting you, but they don't know what I've become. He looked down at his own hands. The strength, the speed, the fury inside. They think I'm still human. He smiled just a little. They're about to learn. I'm not. He looked at her cubs one last time, then he ran. Toward the enemy, into fire, into fate. The new alpha, the jungle didn't move. The trees stood tall and silent. Even the wind held its breath. But something fast passed through the shadows. Not a beast, not a man. Something between both. Elias ran through the forest, his feet light, his senses sharp. The infection had become part of him now. No more pain, no more fear. Only focus, strength, instinct. He heard the humans before he saw them. The 3 Science Guild soldiers marched in a triangle formation, rifles ready. Drones hovered above them, scanning everything. Behind them, their commander stood near the ruined lab, eyes locked on a small blinking map. Targets close, the commander said. Heat trace, strong, moving fast. One of the soldiers looked up. You think it's the queen? No, the commander replied. This is different, bigger. He turned toward the jungle, just as a shadow moved across the trees. Contact! Shouted one of the men, too late. Elias dropped from above like lightning. He slammed into the soldier with full force, breaking the rifle in 2 and tossing him aside. The drone turned, firing a stun beam, but Elias rolled, kicked it midair, and sent it crashing into a tree. The others fired. Elias ran straight into them, not to kill, not to destroy, to send a message. The second soldier raised his weapon, but Elias grabbed his arm, twisted, and slammed him into the ground. The last one backed up, What is this thing? Elias stopped, stood. His face was still human. But his eyes burned gold. His arms had dark patterns under the skin, markings of something ancient. He spoke calmly. I'm the one you came to kill. Dr. Elias Rowan. Des types. Soldiers froze. You were infected, one of them said. I adapted, Elias replied. And I saved them. The commander stepped forward, eyes cold. We're not here to listen. We're here to finish what you started. He lifted a plasma rifle, twice as strong, locked on Elias's chest. You're not human anymore. Elias's eyes narrowed. Maybe that's the point. He dodged the blast, closed the gap, and struck the rifle aside. The two clashed. Metal sparked. Fists flew. Fire lit the sky, but Elias didn't kill him. He broke the rifle, knocked the commander down, looked him in the eye. I could have ended you, he said. But I didn't. He stepped back. Because I'm not a monster. He turned to the drone recording the fight. He spoke directly to it. This footage is live, streaming to every guild channel, to Earth, to the colonies. He lifted his hands. Look at me. I survived your virus. I saved what you wanted to destroy. I became what your rules feared. He stepped aside, letting the drone film the jungle behind him, and from the trees they came. The queen. Tall, proud, walking slowly, and behind her, two healthy, strong cubs. The way, last of their kind. The future. Elias's voice was quiet but firm. This is what survival looks like. The drone beeped. Its signal was confirmed. Broadcast complete. Elias looked back at the soldiers. You want to erase me? Go ahead. But now the whole galaxy knows. The commander didn't move. He looked at the queen, then at the cubs, then at Elias, and for the first time, he lowered his weapon. What are you going to do now? He asked. Elias looked up at the sky. I'm going to vanish. And if you ever come for them again, his gold eyes flashed. You'll meet the new apex. He turned, ran back into the trees, and was gone. The queen followed. The cubs darted after them, playful and free. Together, they disappeared into the wild. No longer prey. No longer hunted. Something new had been born, not in a lab, not from orders, but from choice, from instinct, from evolution. A message spread across human networks. The predator species lives. The rogue scientist has vanished. Witnesses describe him as both man and beast. They called him a myth, a warning, a symbol. But to the queen and her children, he was more than that. He was one of them now. He was the new alpha,